Hello, I'm Brainerd Carey, Director of Praxis Center for Aesthetics. Today I want to talk a little bit about the idea of loneliness, especially as it relates to artists. Artists, visual artists in particular, are almost always working in a studio alone. This is how the process works, right? We work alone in a studio. It's part of how work gets created. However, it can be very lonely to be in a studio. And furthermore, it can be lonely to not get feedback on your work and not have sales as well. But I think the biggest issue is not getting support for your work. And I don't just mean sales, although that's important, but also exhibitions and feedback. So this all contributes to the condition of loneliness, isolation, feeling that you're the only one that appreciates what you're doing or understands what you're doing. And that can lead to, feelings of, why am I doing all of this? I'm not having shows or I'm not exhibiting. So I'm here to tell you the reason you're doing all of this is because you have a gift to give the world. You have a message to give the world. That's what artists do. They make visual art, whether it's figurative, abstract, conceptual, and idea-based. You have a message, you have something to say to the world. And because of that, your work is enormously valuable. Unlike almost any other job in the world, any other vocation, you're doing something that actually has the potential to make other people's lives better, more fulfilling, and even awaken them to things that they hadn't realized before, aesthetically, socially, politically, or otherwise. So in terms of loneliness, what I want to say here is that, number one, it's important to understand that, yes, your work has to be seen by the world. That's how your vision, your message gets out there. And number two, understand that you're not alone in this process. There are other artists that are alone. And number three, the way to battle loneliness is to work with other artists and find a group of other artists that you can talk to. That may mean simply inviting other artists to your studio once a month, or meeting artists in a cafe once a month. It could be 3 or 4 artists at first you could find from an online forum, but somewhere local. You meet 3 or 4 artists a week, you get together in a cafe at the very least and talk about art. This will make you feel more comfortable in terms of what your struggles are, because they're the same struggles that all artists are dealing with, which is getting your message out into the world, letting the world know that you're making exciting work. Of course, sales and exhibits in prestigious places are important, and I talk a lot about that in other videos. But what's very important about surviving as a practicing artist and having a practice that works well for you is to find a way to not be alone. And I believe one of those ways is to generate a group of artists. Could be just 2 or 3 friends, and if you don't have any friends, find a few from local galleries or openings, or put a notice in Craigslist or another local forum and invite 2 or 3 artists to either come to your studio, or if you don't have one like that, meet in a cafe. If that works out, you can then make your group more specific to the 3 or 4 artists that you like the most and exchange studio visits. This is not only a way out of loneliness in your studio practice, but it's also a way of energizing your studio practice, because you'll understand why you're making art in the first place, which is to reach out to other people, to share the gift you have with the world.